What's up, everyone? It's your girl SKG, and we are back with West Coast Queen Diaries, and we are doing a special episode today. Today, we're going to talk about Nicki Minaj, Erika Kirk, and Turning Point USA, and how I feel in regards to Nicki Minaj speaking at Turning Point. West Coast Queen Diaries. So let's get into it. So, as we've all seen, Nicki Minaj was a special guest at Turning Point USA with Erika Kirk. And I think that it took a lot of people by storm, especially Nicki Minaj followers within the music industry. I want to start off by saying I feel everyone is entitled to their political opinion and political stance. You cannot be mad at someone in regards to the way they feel on which candidate they choose to represent and which party they feel aligns with their beliefs. Oftentimes, the Black community is associated with the Democratic Party. And I think that's crazy because if you look back in history, the Republican Party was the party that actually supported African Americans. And I can go all the way back even to my lineage. My ancestors were actually Republicans in Texas because the Republican Party was the party that actually supported and allowed African Americans to vote, and the Democratic Party was the party that was against African Americans voting. But of course, throughout history, everything has actually flipped. Now, a lot of people, especially the African American community, they do not like Charlie Kirk. They don't like Turning Point USA, and they was not a fan of Charlie Kirk's. I'm not saying all Black people, but the majority of Black people associate the Republican Party with racism. So now we have Nicki Minaj, where she has been given the name the Queen of Rap. And so she has a very strong fan base that are called Barbs, and they support mostly any and everything Nicki Minaj does. But I don't think the Barbs community knew that she was about to be a guest speaker at Turning Point. And when I looked online, you just see mixed reviews, mixed emotions. But again, you cannot police a person's alignment on who they feel is the better party and the better candidate for what they believe is right, and what aligns with their opinions and their beliefs. Now, I've never really worked directly with Nicki Minaj. As you guys know, I'm also a female rapper and an entrepreneur. But through my company with her old manager, I booked her for shows, and she was the first artist that I got paid. I want to say I think $60,000 to come to Hollywood and perform during All-Star Weekend. So I've worked with her management company in regards to booking her, but we had very good reviews and feedback when she did come and she did host and she did show up in the business dealings that we did have with her. So I've never heard anything from my team bad about Nicki, but again, you do have people in the industry and they have their own opinions because, they may have worked with her or they may have felt a certain type of way. And then also in the industry is very cliquey, and I don't think people understand that. It's a very clicked up industry. So you have your faves, you have your haves, your have-nots, people that you like, people that you dislike, the crew you're going to roll with, and that's just in the industry. And then you have the fans, and then the fans, they have their faves. And I just think that's what we're seeing, especially with the movement that we have at hand. This is how I feel about the situation with Nicki and with Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA. I feel like Nicki, she has her own personal opinion in regards to who she aligns with. I don't think that she's fond of the Democratic Party. I don't think she aligned with their beliefs, right? And then I also think that she's positioning herself for power plays because of things that she has gone through, people that have bullied her, people that have tried to blackball her, people that have tried to stop her back. And then those people within the hip hop realm are very powerful. And then outside of the hip hop realm, they have their own personal relationships and connections. And I feel like they use that against Nicki. And so now I feel like she's repositioning herself, and she is stepping out of her comfort zone, and she is aligning herself with the party that she not only believes that aligns with her purpose and her opinion, but also a powerful party to where another entity cannot stop the moves that she is putting and placing on the chessboard. So I do feel like she is playing a game of chess, and she's playing a very good game of chess. I do feel like it's sincere, because I feel like this is the party that she really aligns with. And I don't feel it's right that people's like, oh, well, how could you believe in them? What about your audience? What about this? Look, it's pros to cons to both parties. And you have to look at what each party represents, and you have to go with what works best for you and what aligns with your spirit and your truth and what you feel is right. But you cannot police other people's opinions and other people's feelings and other people's thoughts. And I feel like that's what's wrong with America right now. If this person say they like the Democrats, then everybody want to cuss them out, jump on them, be rude to them. And then if this person say they like the Republicans, it's the same thing. I feel Nicki went where she was celebrated and not tolerated at. And I think that for what she is doing and what she believes in, it is good for her, because this is her path that she set up for herself. This is the path that God allowed her to set up for herself. And just because you don't agree with the party does not make her decision wrong for who she chooses to align with due to her beliefs. Now, the question that comes up is, okay, well, does Nicki have an obligation and a duty to her fans? And if she has an obligation and a duty to her fans, then what are the obligation and the duties? Is the obligation and the duties that she can't walk in her truth because some of her fans feel a certain type of way? So she can't be authentically who she is because some of her fans will disagree, some of her audience will disagree, some of her colleagues will disagree? Or is it okay for her to walk in her truth, be comfortable in her feelings and her choices, and support the party that she feels align with her beliefs? Because to me, if she has to move how her fans want her to move, then that's her being a robot. And I feel like that's a question that everyone needs to ask themselves that support Nicki. If you really support her, doesn't she have the option to walk in her truth and align herself with people that she feels represents her true feelings in regards to her political views? That's the real question. And if you stop being a fan of hers, were you really a fan from the beginning? Ask yourself that. Now, I don't have a dog in this fight because truthfully, I feel like I'm just part of the independent party. I agree with some of the viewpoints of the Democrats. I agree with some of the viewpoints of the Republican Party, but I disagree with both parties on some things. And I don't want to just be clicked up with the Democrats are the Republicans, because to me, I swear to God, they're like gangs. I swear to God, they are like gangs. With that being said, how I feel about the situation, I feel like Turning Point USA, they have a really strong backing and how they're positioning themselves, especially with the younger generation. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they are going to show up and have so much support behind them because they already have it now. And especially aligning with artists that has a huge following, especially the younger generation, right? I do feel like Erika Kirk is moving Turning Point in a different direction. And I also feel like that fire is fueled by the death of her husband. Right now, I seen what Candace Owens said about Erika. I went down a rabbit hole. It is a lot going on, but I will say this. In my opinion, y'all, I just feel like she is a grieving widow. And I feel she is furious about what happened to her husband. And she's not stopping. And I think that she is going to build Turning Point to something that we probably have never seen a nonprofit built to. And it is going to be a powerful force, especially in the political realm. Now, I know that some of you guys are accusing her of setting up her husband and things of that nature. Listen, I don't know what these people have going on behind the scenes. I went down a rabbit hole and it stressed me out and gave me anxiety, and then I stopped because I'm like, listen, I got a lot of other stuff going on. I ain't got time to be Inspector Gadget trying to figure out what happened, and just it's too much. So I'll just say a prayer for everybody involved and keep it pushing. But when we talk about Nicki Minaj aligning herself with Turning Point, you have to ask yourself this, and this is for Nicki Minaj fans. Does she have a duty and an obligation to move how you guys want her to move? And because she chose to move in a different direction that probably don't align with all her fans, will you still be a fan? I feel like everyone has a free will and a free choice to support who and what they want to support. And if you're a true fan, you wouldn't let that upset you. This is your girl SKG, and thank you for tuning in to West Coast.